Greetings! It is Professor Fulton with another lecture. This one is on Neat People versus Sloppy People by Susan Britt in our Compare and Contrast chapter. Now, some things we need to get straight about this essay before we go any further. First and foremost, this is another creative nonfiction essay, just like David Sedaris's essay from the other day. It tells the truth, but it does so through creative means, using literary elements / devices. It is a relative of plays, poetry, and fiction. It is often called the fourth genre. Now, another thing we need to get straight about this particular compare and contrast essay is that, yes, like Mr. Sedaris's essay, this is meant to be humorous. Now, whether or not you find it humorous is going to be your business. Because remember, like we said in class, humor is extremely subjective. What one person finds funny, another person finds offensive. I would not want to be a comedian in today's society. One wrong joke and that's all she wrote. Oof, stressful. Anyway, another point that we need to get down, our third point here, is that this is indeed a subject by subject structure. She puts all her facts about sloppy people first, and then halfway through the essay, she shifts gears into her other subject, which is neat people. It is subject by subject. Please be clear on that fact. Now, unlike Sedaris's essay, she does have a thesis statement that's up front and center, clearly stated in the first paragraph. I've finally figured out the difference between neat people and sloppy people. The distinction is, as always, moral. Neat people are lazier and meaner than sloppy people. Boom. Highlight that as her thesis statement. Unlike Sedaris, where you kind of have to read the whole essay and infer meaning for yourself, she just flat out says it from the jump. She goes on to say, sloppy people you see are not really sloppy. Their sloppiness is merely the unfortunate consequence of their extreme moral rectitude. Sloppy people carry in their mind's eye a heavenly vision, a precise plan that is so stupendous, so perfect, it can't be achieved in this world or the next. So she's doing something quite interesting. Usually in society, we vilify sloppy people, but here she's, quote unquote, elevating them some. She's saying they're just so busy having these grand thoughts. They have no time to be clean. They're just so intelligent that they can't be bogged down in the details. Interesting, huh? Unique take. Now, here comes a new literary element alert. As I said in class, whenever we come across one, I will point it out and we will define it. She likes to make allusions with an A. An illusion is a magic trick. I'm talking about allusions, which are outside references. Writers, poets, playwrights, they love to make outside references. They like to reference the Bible, other writers, TV shows, you name it. They like to make outside references. And in this case, she references Peter Pan. Childhood flashback. She says sloppy people live in Never Never Land. There's the illusion. And we have to stop and think, why is she making this reference? What happens in Never Never Land? Well, if you recall, children in Never Never Land never grow up. This can come with both positive and negative connotations. For one thing, they remain, childlike innocence, happy individuals. Positive. Negative, they're very immature. They, act childish, things of that nature. So she is poking fun at them, even though she claims to be elevating them. She's getting a little jab in there with her clever allusion to Neverland from Peter Pan. Also, fun fact, in the original text, the reason the children would never grow up is because Peter Pan would kill them before they could. I know. Did I ruin some childhoods? Sorry. Anyway, now we come across another literary element in the third paragraph on page 240. She says, "Someday is their meteor. Someday they are planning to alphabetize all their books and set up home catalogs. Someday they will go through their wardrobes and mark certain items for tentative mending and certain items for passing on to relatives of similar shape and size. Someday sloppy people will make family scrapbooks." And this continues on for the whole paragraph. Someday, someday, someday. She's not doing that to annoy you. It is actually repetition. Repetition. She is symbolically repeating this word to make a point. That they have all these high ideals, they just don't quite get there. It's always someday. Now, something else that I want to point out, literary element wise, which Miss Britt is notorious for in this essay and her other writings, is hyperbole. Hyperbole. Hyperbole is over exaggeration. Yeah, we've already seen a lot of that in the sloppy people section, especially with that whole sloppy people carry in their mind's eye a heavenly vision line. Yeah, she likes to over exaggerate. And she's doing so to create humor, guys, because remember, this is a humor essay. Now, she says on 241 that sloppy people can't bear to part with anything. They're very emotional, they're very loving. When sloppy people say they're going to tackle the surface of a desk, they really mean it. Not a paper will go unturned, not a rubber band will go unboxed. For hours or 2 weeks into the excavation, the desk looks exactly the same. She's got jokes. Primarily because the sloppy person is meticulously creating new piles of papers with new headings and scrupulously stopping to read all the old book catalogs before he throws them away. Again, she's got jokes. Now, here's where things get interesting. Remember, in the beginning of our compare and contrast chapter, we discussed organizational devices. One of them is a transitional sentence. Transitional sentences come at the end of paragraphs or sections and hint to what the next section is going to be about. And Miss Britt has a lovely example of a transitional sentence at the end of this desk cleaning paragraph. It is on page 241. She says, "A neat person would just bulldoze the desk." Everyone go to paragraph 5 and underline that. A neat person would just bulldoze the desk. And then the next section is all about neat people. You see how it was just one sentence that was artfully hinting to the next section of her paper? That's what they do. Don't overthink them. So, great example. Please underline it. Interactive reading, guys. We've talked about this. And then, boy, does she let neat people have it. She's coming in hot right from the start. Neat people are bums and clods at heart. Whoa! My goodness. Remember, humor's subjective. Some of you may be laughing, and some of you may be offended if you think you're a neat person. Something to contemplate. Her tone definitely gets intense. They have cavalier attitudes towards possessions, including family heirlooms. Everything is just another dust catcher to them. If anything collects dust, it's got to go, and that's that. Neat people will toy with the idea of throwing the children out of the house just to cut down on the clutter. Oh my. Again, clearly an example of hyperbole there at the end of paragraph 6. She's got a knack for it, that particular literary element of over exaggeration. And guys, go back to Sedaris's essay. You'll find that he likes to use hyperbole too. And he likes to also make references and allusions. I know. Now, she really just keeps digging into neat people. And this next part is a two-part joke, which I always stop to explain. She says neat people don't care about process, they like results. What they want to do is get the whole thing over with so they can sit down and watch wrestling on TV. Yeah, let's stop there. Wrestling. In the book, it's spelled Rasslin apostrophe. And as we know, that's not how we spell wrestling. What she's doing is she's spelling it out phonetically, how certain uneducated people are portrayed to say it. So she's making a double dig there. For one, she's implying that neat people are not intelligent. And also, is wrestling the most intelligent TV programming out there? I'm sorry for you hardcore fans, but it's, not a Burns off. It's not like, a PBS documentary. So she's taking a double dig. Again, you could be offended. She is implying on two levels A, what they're watching, and B, their spelling, that they are not the most intelligent people. Ouchie. And then she really, really, really digs into them in this mailbox paragraph, which I'm kind of guilty of, but I didn't take it personally. She says, all ad catalogs, pleas for charitable contributions, church bulletins, and money saving coupons go straight into the trash without being opened. All letters from home, postcards from Europe, bills, paychecks are opened immediately, responded to, and then dropped in the trash can. And then she said earlier, if the trash can is beside the mailbox, even better. Oh my goodness. Kind of guilty of that because I will bring my mail in and stand right near the trash can and start sorting. So I get the joke, but I'm not offended. But you might be. Contemplate. And then she says, no sentimental salvaging of birthday cards or the last letter a dying relative ever wrote. Wow, really painting them as very unfeeling and not very financially responsible with all these things they throw out. And what I want to point out is the ending of this creative nonfiction essay is very symbolic, just like Sedaris is. I once had a philosophy and film professor tell the class when I was an undergrad in your shoes that never mess with puppies or kids. You'll lose your audience. People like puppies and kids. What can I tell you? But that's exactly what she does. She says neat people cut a clean swath through the organic as well as the inorganic world. People, animals, and things are all one to them. They're so insensitive. After they've finished with the pantry, the medicine cabinet, and the attic, they will throw out the red geranium, too many leaves, sell the dog, too many fleas, and send the children off to boarding school, too many scuff marks on the hardwood floor. My goodness, puppies and kids. Again, it's a really big claim, really hitting them hard. So, offended? That's up for you, the reader, to decide and argue. Because remember, humor is extremely subjective. Well, that was not a very long essay, which I'm sure you're excited about with your reading homework. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever have any questions, you know how to contact me, my students. In your syllabus is my email. All right. Have an awesome kind of day and learn to laugh a little.